There's recently been kind of this big boom in the Bacanora industry and a lot of wild harvesting of the plants. So we've been working with Bat Conservation International and Biophilia Foundation to restore landscapes and use the agave as a way to get people interested in landscape restoration while also creating a nectar corridor for the lesser long-nosed bat and leading to economic opportunities for people once the agaves are mature.
On this episode, we talk with Allison Kreis, our 2026 Carrie Wilson Memorial Scholarship winner, a Project Dragonfly student, and co-founder of La Tierra del Jaguar, a nonprofit based in Sonora, Mexico for the conservation of jaguars and jaguar habitat. So we talk with her all about conservation in Sonora, the organization she started, and the work she's doing for her master's degree within her community. Also, I'd like to say that I kind of messed up my audio a little bit, so I won't sound perfect, but she sounds great. So please enjoy our conversation with Allison. Allison, thank you so much for joining us. It's really nice to have you here, and let everyone know that you are the 2026 Carrie Wilson Memorial Scholarship winner from Pelicanus. So congratulations, and please
Thank you.
Introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, thank you so much, Austin. I am very grateful for this opportunity and to win this scholarship award. I know there was a lot about paying it forward, the Carrie Wilson Scholarship, that she really wanted to be able to pay education forward. And so I'm very grateful for this opportunity and want everyone to know that because of this, I am able to help young women also in the community that I'm located in here in Mexico with education. But my name is Allison Kreis, and I am in the Project Dragonfly program with Miami University. This is completing my first year in the Global Field program, and my focus is helping communities partner with nature through landscape restoration in order to save species, which is also the focus of the nonprofit that I work for and am co-founder and director called La Tierra del Jaguar. And we are a nonprofit and Mexican civil association working in Sahuaripa, Sonora, Mexico, where we help people partner with nature in order to save the jaguar. I'm also a former zookeeper, spent 20 years as a keeper in mammalogy and ornithology. Started at Reed Park Zoo in Tucson, and then I was at the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum for 15 years, working full-time with all the wildlife that I now live in the middle of and get to help protect out in the wild.
Can we, I guess, tell us more about your nonprofit, how it's got started and what the goals are? And, obviously it's, Jaguars in the name. So, is it all about Jaguars? Is it just about, is that kind of the catalyst? Is that kind of like the I don't say flagship, but like mascot of your organization, why you're doing things? So please just tell us more about that nonprofit.
Yeah, so La Tierra del Jaguar, or La Tierra del Jaguar, or Land of the Jaguar, was started in 2019 by my partner in the nonprofit, Randy Young Villegas, and he used to manage the Northern Jaguar Reserve here in Sahuaripa, Sonora. So he was reserve manager for about 3.5 years and decided that he wanted to work more with the community and the agricultural systems that are putting the jaguar and people in danger. Because jaguars, reserves are fantastic and protected areas, but over 84% of the land in Sonora is used in cattle production. So once animals leave these protected areas, they're potentially in danger again through practices that are very extractive and are causing a loss in biodiversity and productive incomes for the producers. So he left to start La Tierra del Jaguar. I moved down here 5 years ago, full time, to the community of Sahuaripa, We have a 25-acre demonstration site here on the side of the river, um, where we're growing out plants for regenerative agriculture and habitat restoration. Our main focus is helping people partner with nature, to create connectivity between landscapes and also benefit the producers. That's the biggest push behind this is that it has to benefit producers, because most of the landscape is owned and managed by people just trying to make a living. So if you're coming in and saying, you can't kill jaguars, you can't do this and this and this, and not giving people an option, or another way to support themselves, you're not really doing conservation. You're just showing up and dictating what you want to happen, but not really taking into account the needs of the community. So that is what we really focus on, is creating benefits that restore landscapes, protect jaguars, and help producers. So a lot of that, our big push right now is using agave agroforestry. So in the region, the agave angustifolia, which is used in Bacanora production. I don't know if you're familiar with Bacanora. It's you know how in France different wines come from different grapes and different regions? It's the agave distillate from this region. So there's like tequila, mezcal, sotol. They all come from different parts in Mexico and from different agave species. And in the region that we're in, it's Bacanora, and you use agave angustifolia. And so there's recently been kind of this big boom in the Bacanora industry and a lot of wild harvesting of the plants. So we've been working with Bat Conservation International and Biophilia Foundation to restore landscapes and use the agave as a way to get people interested in landscape restoration, while also creating a nectar corridor for the lesser long-nosed bat and leading to economic opportunities for people once the agaves are mature. So that's what our main project right now within the community is, this agave agroforestry program.
Yeah, I'd never heard of Bacanora, but I've you know, I'm familiar with some of the issues with the agave and the bats and everything. I know, like, I think it's Sotol, where it's in like southern Texas and northern Mexico. Everyone got really excited about it, but then I guess those species of agave take like 30, 40 years to reach maturity. And so they go out and they just like, and you can't really grow it. So like
Mhm.
they go out and they cut them and then they make the alcohol out of it. And it's like, well, it's like a very much not a renewable resource. So is
Yes.
that the same with the Bacanora species? Is it where it just takes a
Yeah.
long time?
The agave angustifolia takes about 7 years to mature. So, with the boom of the Bacanora industry, there's been a lot of the wild harvesting. The other thing we're also trying to prevent is in southern Mexico, because of all the tequila industry, there's been a lot of monocultures of planting, which is equally as devastating on ecosystems when you have one species and you're using chemicals and you're just being extractive of the landscape. There's areas where they will cover the ground in between the rows of agave with like an acrylic so that no weeds and things will go through. That then just causes excessive erosion and water running off that landscape, and destroying the land for the people, because the companies will come in and either rent the land, extract from it, and then turn it back over to the landowners, who then, have this land that's useless. So that's one of the other things that we're working on, is making sure that teaching people how to plant in ways that are biodiverse.
You're helping the community by giving them some sort of income revenue, income stream. Obviously, it takes a while, but if you can, once you get it going, then after 7, 8 years, you have that income stream every year, while also helping the bat species that need that because they pollinate the
Mhm.
agave species, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, while also protecting the habitat because it's a native species, and like you said, avoiding monoculture. So I think that's a really cool way to kind of like, and you said you're not just doing this like, well, here's my idea, here's what I'm going to do to this land. It's like you're bringing in other organizations like what was the Bat Conservation International? What was that
At
organization called?
Conservation International, we've been working with them for the last 3 years. And then Biophilia Foundation to do landscape restoration, because one of the big issues that in the area that leads to jaguar persecution is degraded landscapes, and the competition for feed for cattle. It's Once I get going on it, it's hard. Like I start getting all these ideas, and there's so many different little parts that come into jaguar conservation, and you might go, well, how do agaves conserve jaguars? And it's like, well, we're restoring landscapes that are degraded and creating more habitat and more economic opportunities for people that are living in these shared landscapes.
Looking in from the outside, it's like, well, that's super simple. It's like what a great way to have a solution for all these different problems and through just like one big effort. But obviously, it's not simple, and you spent the last however many years of your life working on it with a bunch of different
Uh-huh.
organizations working on it. But it just from the outside in being like, oh, what a really cool like nature-based solution type thing where everyone's happy. And we could buy the Bacanora and drink it. And does it have the little bat friendly logo on it?
Aren't actually producing any yet. I'm sure in the future we will be and be doing jaguar and bat friendly products, because that's the whole thing, is that we're trying to create other revenue streams for people, because here the major part of the economy is ranching and mining and people leaving to the US to, legally or not, it's still people want to go to the US and work. So we're working on creating more economic opportunities that are in line with nature and protect species. So that's one of our approaches to working with the community, is to create incomes that are regenerative.
And so you said that the main income right now for the community is ranching and mining. And so is that the main issue when it comes to the jaguar, is just habitat loss from ranching, or is there like also predation
It's
by ranchers?
so it's the habitat loss and fragmentation. There's a lot of it is the perceived loss to ranchers. It's the systems that people have been using to manage cattle for many, many, many years. It's common for people to turn their cattle out onto a large range and not see them for several months. So if cows come back without calves, it's automatically then blamed on the jaguar. There's no knowing for sure, was that cow even pregnant? Was it stillborn? Did it die of starvation? Did it die of another disease or dehydration? Did it fall into a canyon? The jaguar is the scapegoat for a lot of land management practices. So we're working a lot with education and teaching systems that will benefit producers in the long run by creating more contact with their cattle, through rotational grazing, healthier healthier livestock, and benefit wildlife by creating more biodiversity on the landscape. So here with the rancher jaguar conflict comes from misinformation and the loss of biodiversity, because they're seen as competitors for, wildlife in the area is seen as competitors, so people will kill deer and javelina, because they're eating the grass and drinking the water that cattle could be doing. And so when they then kill the jaguar's native prey, the jaguar then only has the option of occasionally taking a cow. But the numbers are actually very, very, very low. Um, it's a lot of the perceived loss, that's not really backed up. And it's just, we a couple months ago we had a gentleman show up at our demonstration site, and he was just like irate that a puma or a jaguar had killed his cattle or taken a calf or something like that. And there are government programs and a government insurance when ranchers are purchasing the aretes, the ear tags that you need to sell cattle. That if you lose an animal to predation, they will reimburse you. But the thing is, people here don't believe that. We're in a very rural community. It takes a lot of work for someone to have it documented. So it's easier just to blame an animal and move on. So that's, one of the things that we really try to work with is the misinformation and creating awareness of systems that would work better in the long run for the community.
Yeah, so it sounds like your organization is hitting it from all different angles. So I guess talk about the kind of main, I don't know what the words are, like the pillars of your organization. It's like habitat restoration, education, community outreach, and alternative revenue streams is what I'm thinking of. So what is it? Are you're actually? Yeah, that sounds bad when I say it that way. What are you actually doing? Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, what kind of action are you guys taking for each of those kinds of pillars that make up your organization?
So our big program that we started a couple years ago is called Aliados de la Naturaleza, or Allies of Nature. And with that, we're working with 24 different landowners throughout the watershed. And we are providing habitat restoration, landscape restoration on each of those sites of about 2 acres each site, where we have a crew of 3 people that go out and do water harvesting structures and different structures to retain soil and stop water from leaving the lands. There's a lot of overgrazing, which leads to a reduced water table and lack of biodiversity and soil loss. So we're doing the landscape restoration on each of these sites throughout the watershed, with our group of 24. And then we are growing out. We've got 50,000 agave angustifolia that we're just starting to outplant onto these sites. So each person is then getting 2,000 agave plants that are going into their land, along with other native species like the chiltepin pepper. We're working with some native sage, and I believe lavender as well was the other stuff that we're growing, so that these agroforestry systems, the agave takes a long time to mature, but we're also putting in other plants that can be beneficial in the meantime. So we have that. We have education programs. We have a biologist that's in local schools here 3 days a week, as well as our demonstration site where we've had, just this spring, we've had over 300 kids come out for field days, where they can engage in nature. We do everything from a scavenger hunt where they learn about the different native wildlife to working with regenerative agriculture, because we are in a predominantly agricultural community. And so learning these systems are important to teaching kids. We're helping grow the next conservation leaders in this area. And I think that's another important part of our work, is that we are 100% community based. We are not the parachute conservation organization, and that's something that I've seen, living here the last 5 years. There's groups that come in and they come from somewhere and they do their class and they take their photo and then they leave. We are here. We are supporting the people in the community. I am very big on helping our community, our team, our local team that's working with us, giving them continuing education opportunities and the tools that they need to be the leaders in the community.
I love the education aspect of it too, because a lot of those students are probably going to end up working those same farms that that are owned by their families, and so now, like you said, that guy that came in and was just really angry about a puma or a jaguar eating his cattle. It's like, now those students, when they grow up, they're not going to have that instinct to just say that it's
it's just the Jaguars' fault and there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
They'll at least understand a little bit more about the biodiversity of the area, you know. And again, this is where it kind of comes in. It's hard to say, like, you know, you're working with the community, but like, you know, maybe 30, 50 years ago, this community knew more than we'd ever know about any of the biodiversity. But
Yeah.
then, as yeah, as you said, as kind of this ranching and this you know, industrialization, I guess you'd call it, of this area, that we kind of
Mhm.
tend to lose that. So it's really cool that you're trying to bring that back into the
Yeah,
community and, you know,
absolutely. That's
redirect.
very much what we're doing, is that, you know, 40, 50 years ago, these ranches, people lived on their ranches, and that ranch was supporting a family, an extended family living on that ranch. You know, their food, everything they needed was pretty self-sufficient. Now people are you're trying to support multiple families off the income from that ranch, but they're living in town. You know, you've got multiple cars, you've got multiple cell phones, you've got kids in schools and all these expenses, so you're still trying to make an income off this land that's already overgrazed, and so people are putting more and more cattle on, and it's just this vicious cycle of degradation and loss, which then in turn gets blamed on the jaguar, and then jaguars are persecuted.
Yeah, so I guess speaking of the Jaguar itself, are you do you have any direct population monitoring efforts? Do you guys have like trail cams out, those kinds of things to like actually to help and, you know, learn where the Jaguar are and what's happening with them specifically?
So we are not as much of a research based organization, partly because we're very small and don't have the funding for it. I would absolutely love to have the funding to be able to be putting trail cameras on these 24 sites throughout the watershed, that we're working, because, you know, something my partner in the nonprofit, Randy, says is that, you know, you see these maps of the spots with the jaguars, you know, the pinpoints where jaguars are, and that's just because there's trail cameras there. So you know, they can be a lot of other places. They're not necessarily staying in this one small corridor that they're, you know, traveling through. They don't have maps. So we would love to be able to expand that and be able to put more cameras out and do monitoring like that. But our focus is mostly the education and the restoration part of it, to create that connectivity between protected areas and ensure you know the communities are able to survive, because with climate change and the landscape degradation, it's, you know, everyone is threatened. It's not just the jaguar, it's the people too.
I mean, it's really cool that, like, you know, you guys have a place. I mean, obviously you have a lot of directions you can grow as an organization, but, you know, maybe partnering with organizations that want to do research on, you know, jaguar connectivity and movement in that area,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it'd be a really great way to kind of like merge that research with your habitat restoration and all these like movements, and see kind of how things are shifting as you're becoming more successful, and like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
your agroforestry projects are coming up online. So I think that's really cool to see, you know, over the next 15, 20 years, like how, like what impacts, like positive impacts could come from that.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. You know, Randy and I started this nonprofit with nothing. We don't come from money. We don't didn't have any training in it either, really. That's why I'm very thankful for this opportunity to be in the Dragonfly program, because just in the last year, it has helped me immensely in, you know, the wording and kind of the documentation and conveying the message of the organization, which is really important to the fundraising side of it. Um, you know, Randy and I are here doing this out of passion and just intuitively kind of seeing what the community needs and needed. Um, so it's been a lot for the last 5 years to be. We've had a lot of growth. We started with I think it was like I got a $15,000 grant like 4 years ago, and, you know, now we have a staff of 8 people locally, doing restoration and growing out agaves, and then an educator in the schools. So we've had a lot of growth, and I'm hoping to continue that, and at least have it be sustainable, and the whole point of this organization is for it to be a resource for the community here and for all the communities in the Sierras, because there's not a lot of opportunities for environmental education, or especially something like our demonstration site. Oh, here comes the shitten. Excuse me. um, so, being able to watch this place grow, and especially our team, like, that's been the thing I think I'm most proud of, is the way we've supported our team and watched them develop into leaders in the community.
And that's awesome. That's how you build a program that's going to last beyond yourself,
Mm-hmm.
So
And that's the
it's,
whole point.
yeah.
It's like, we wanted to do something bigger than ourselves. Like, we're not, I want this to continue well after I'm long gone.
So how does this program relate to your master plan in the Project Dragonfly system? Is all of your work, everything you're studying, is it all have to do with this project,
It's
or are you kind of
Yes.
branching out? I had a very similar experience where I was like, "Here's what I want to do," and I'm like, "Yeah, maybe we should try doing other stuff." And I was hesitant to it, but I did it when they told me to. But yeah, so how does this relate to your master's program?
It is one and the same, basically. Everything I am doing is for this organization and to move it forward, because we started it. It's a new organization. We're growing with it. And the master's program is really giving me the tools that I need in order to make sure that La Tierra del Jaguar is successful. So it's for a lot of my work in my master's program. I'm really interested in, like, the social sciences side of the community and what motivates landowners to protect lands, and what what are their barriers to land protection and conservation, and their understanding of it. So that's what I'd like to focus a lot of my work in the master's program, is understanding, you know, what are people's motivations, for to protect an animal that they've been told for many years is harmful to them, to their livelihoods. So how do we change people's thinking on more widespread jaguar protection rather than the jaguar is the enemy? Um, so I'm really focused on, like, what is the root cause, and how do we address that?
All right, and you have about a year and a half left of
Year
your
and a half,
program.
yeah. I was supposed to do my summer course, but I had to put that on pause just because I'm trying to focus on funding. We had some grants that we were approved for that then got canceled. We're a very small nonprofit. I would love to be able to sleep at night and know that I had money in the bank. Um, so we're my big goal is we mostly rely on grants and foundation, money. So being able to get out there and start trying to find maybe some private donors, and create an endowment fund is really critical to us right now, and will help me sleep at night.
So yeah, I guess that brings up the question: how can people help? Do you have like a website where we can donate? Is there, if people are in the area, can they volunteer, or if they just want to do like I can't, was it like ecotourism, come down and stay there and help out? Like
Yeah,
what ways,
all of
monetarily,
the
whatever.
things. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, we do have a website, latierradeljaguar.org. I'm hopefully this summer going to be updating it. I built it a couple years ago, and now we've had so much growth. There's new wording, there's new photos. We also have Instagram and Facebook. La Tierra del Jaguar is the easiest way to find that. Um, People are more than welcome to come visit. We are set up for camping. We have a beautiful demonstration site and composting toilet and outdoor shower. We're on the side of a river. Um, so we are set up to host, maybe 50 people at a time camping. Um, and then, of course, getting those connections, uh, sharing information about our project, talking about it to people that maybe have the ability to contribute financially is the big thing. We've got the friends and the people that will volunteer, and we're so grateful for that. Um, what we really need is the money to do the work. We have all the ideas, and we're and the passion behind it. It's the funding is the biggest thing holding us back.
Yeah, we make fun of all the people that take the photos with the golden shovels, but you need those people to fund so they can
I
come
do.
take those photos later. Yeah.
I need some people with the golden shovels to come down.
Awesome. Well, hopefully, this little bit can, get your name out there to some people that have some money, so have some, avenues or at least ideas. And, we'll definitely link to your website and your social media pages. So at least we'll get some more eyes on it. If not, hopefully some potential funders in the future. And, the scholarship goes to you specifically for your master's program, but it sounds like your master's program and this organization are all in one. So
It
if
is.
anything that, we're very happy and proud to have been able to help out a little bit. It's not a lot of money, but it'll help a little bit. And
It's a huge amount, and you know the scholarship that you give me. One of the things, it's it's hard to explain exactly what we do, because everything we do in some way relates back to jaguar conservation, whether it's you know the work with the kids, the agave agroforestry. We're doing a scholarship fund for youth in the community to go to college. It's all about creating community, and you know the the people that live and work here are the people that are protecting the wildlife and the jaguar, and we're just giving them, helping with tools to make that easier for them. So by getting this scholarship, I am able to be here and pay that forward to other young women in the community through scholarships. We've got a girl that's from a very disadvantaged background. I was able to find a donor in Tucson that would pay for her school here. It's $5,000, covers room, board, and tuition for a year for a university in that University of Sonora. So that's, it doesn't take a lot to make a big difference where we're working. And this organization has very little overhead. We are off grid on a demonstration site. So it's any contributions that are made to us, it goes a very long way. You're getting a lot for your money.
Carrie would have been extremely proud of our organization being able to help people like you, but then, she would have loved to have heard your story and, been able to help out as any way possible. So, yeah, we're just so happy and proud to be able to help, and, very happy for what you've built. And, it moving forward, if there's any way we can help get the word out, if you have whatever it is coming up and you want to put it on social media, just send it to me and I'll repost. Or, I don't really do the social media thing very well,
Yeah.
but, any ways we can help. And then, maybe we can get some money and some people your direction. And well, Allison, thank you so much for sharing your story. And, this scholarship that we do every year is one of our favorite things that we do each year, because it really allows us to learn about these projects that have started very, very small, and you've grown it to be this amazing thing. And we only wanted to help expand and make this as impactful of a project as possible for your region and beyond. So thank you so much for talking with us. And, again, we're just very happy to be involved and, stay connected with you in the future. And you already mentioned it, but where can people find your organization?
So we have La Tierra Del Jaguar.org, and also we're on Instagram and Facebook. Hopefully we'll be on TikTok or something like that at some point. I think we might have something on there. I don't know. I can't manage all those things, but but yeah, that's where you can find us. Instagram and Facebook are the most current events. Occasionally we'll be in Tucson doing talks. So that's the best place if you want to connect with us in the US. But people are welcome to reach out on the website or to my email, Allison at La Tierra del Jaguar. If you're interested in visiting or have ways that you think you might be able to help us, I am very open to hearing anything. But yeah, I am very grateful for this opportunity and for the Carrie Wilson Scholarship and Pelicanus Foundation. So I'm hope that I can make you all proud.
Well, you already have, but yeah, no, appreciate that. And thanks again for everything that you do. And good luck with the rest of your master's program. I know you're rounding out to the end, so hopefully it'll be painless.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you again to Allison for taking the time to talk with us. Please check out the social media pages and website for La Tierra del Jaguar and see how you can help. Host and producer is Austin Parker. Music was provided by Picture Book Studios. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you want to help us out. Thanks again. We'll talk to you next time.